and up here. There's HDMI. I'm assuming you got an HDMI port there somewhere.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so Mark, I'm going to do a quick bio here for you. So Mark is a U.S. Army veteran. He received his bachelor's degree from Campbell. He's pursuing a master's degree at SANS right now, and he's working as a cyber incident response manager. He's constantly learning about digital forensics and incident response. Hey, you also enjoy weight training, obstacle courses, and spending time with 2 dogs. And I think there was something about tacos and beer that went in there as well in the original, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, you do all the training so you can eat the tacos and the beer, right? So
got to put the calories on.
Yeah, exactly. So Mark, welcome today, and thanks for being our last talk of the day, it looks like.
Thank you. I wish I knew I had more.
To wrap, you can extend a little bit.
Right on. So cool. Hey, everyone. So I'd like to start by saying thank you to Patrick. I don't know if you're in here right now, but Patrick helped coach me through this whole submission process of getting the talk submitted and really provide some valuable feedback. So I think that's not just a great reflection of his character, but it's also a reflection of this community that we have here in Raleigh. A lot of times we have people who want to get help, but I think we also realize that there are so many people who want to help. And I absolutely love that about this community. So the talk that I want to give to you guys today, I want to highlight kind of where I came from, what I do now. And I do that because I want to show people that even if you don't know anything about computers, you can still, really grow into this career field, whether it's pen testing, whether or not it's blue team, threat hunt, threat intel, whatever it is that you want to do. There's just so many opportunities to do it here. And with a supportive community like this, my faith in humanity increases a little bit every time. So Chuck, thanks for the bio. We talked a little bit about tacos and beer. What's not written in the bio is not only do I like to engage in the weightlifting, I like to engage in the beer drinking. So super excited for Ponysaurus, guys. And just, love to network, love to meet new people. Unknown fact about me, I'm incredibly introverted. So I'm secretly dying on the inside right now. All right, so I did get a bachelor's degree from Campbell University. Go Camels, woo. So when I came to North Carolina in 2007. I was in the U.S. Army. I was in a unit called Psychological Operations. And basically what that is just fancy words for business marketing. I did about 8.5 years there. At the time, all I knew a computer could do, you could play video games, and then one could download movies and put them onto external hard drives. Someone, not me, but someone. Shortly when I was transitioning out of the military, I went to a school called New Horizons. I was in Durham, probably real close to here, actually. And then it eventually became Carolina Career College, and I just recently heard that it's not there anymore. COVID was not kind to everybody, of course. So I earned a couple of certifications, namely A+, Net+, Sec+. Once I got the Sec+, opportunities really started opening up for me, especially on Fort Bragg. For those of you that don't know, I still live in Fayetteville, so Fort Bragg's right next door, and there's just a whole lot of job opportunity there. So I took my first job, and I decided to just go all in. Let's go full IT, and let's just see what happens. I changed my degree plan to IT security, and so I was going to Campbell University full-time, Monday morning to Friday afternoon, and then I was working Thursday night to Monday morning. That was a pretty rough 6 months of my life there. I lost like 20 pounds, and it wasn't the good weight that you want to lose. So I spent about 2 years in a service desk, help desk position. Fast forward a couple more years, I got a couple more certifications, one of them being the CISSP, transitioned to an auditing role. So if all of you are familiar with secure configurations, think CIS controls, think DoD STIG controls. I was auditing systems, network appliances, software applications against those guidelines. And then, of course, I was working with those system owners to either remediate them or come up with a plan and document the risk that was inherent there. I then moved on to an incident handling role. And that was my primary focus, but because I was the only cybersecurity person as part of that sub-organization, everything came my way. I did vulnerability management, engineering, architecture, scanning, all of it. I managed 80 servers across the world. If you're familiar with the Tenable products, that's what I was using there. I was involved in the risk management framework. I was introduced to containers, container security. So I think open source tools like Encore, Swift, and Gripe. I think there's another one also called Claire. So that was actually the last job that I had. I was there for about 3 years. And that's really where I got a lot of my experience, where I started meeting a lot of new people and really getting a lot of perspective on the field. So what do I do now? As we mentioned earlier, I currently go to SANS Technology Institute, so all the GIAC certifications, that's this college. And I know there's at least 4 other of us in here. And there's 5 of us here total. I got to meet one of our other SANS colleagues here. We have a Slack underground, and he knew that we were here, and so he extended his stay. So definitely appreciate you doing that. Very glad to have you here. So I am also an active member of the ISSA, and the ISSA is another organization to promote the networking and the furtherment of the profession. So I want to give a shameless plug here, first of many, forewarning there. So I'm the education director for Fayetteville Fort Bragg, and I'm looking for speakers. Whatever you guys want to talk about, I have all of 2023 open. I'm looking for 20 to 30 speakers next year. If you want to do something tech call, something you're interested in, a workshop, please come find me. I want to bring you on board and really get you some exposure and help to teach all the people in our community. So I also like to work with open source projects and technology. Because I'm in the digital forensics incident response field, that's typically my area of interest. So if you guys are familiar with memory forensics, I use volatility. I use WinPman for acquisition. I use Eric Zimmer files. And one really major tool, which I'm going to talk about later, called Velociraptor for digital forensics incident astounding tool, a whole bunch of things. And I've also got a side project going on. If you're familiar with Detection Lab, it comes pre-built. It has Splunk, Fleet with OS Query, Microsoft ATA, Velociraptor, domain controller, and then you just start going to town with the labs, and it's really pretty awesome. So I kind of want to show some of the things that I do on a daily basis. I did my best to make the best memes for you guys, and I'm so excited to share them. I didn't like them at first, but as I stared at them over a couple beers, I was like, nah, these are good. These are good, I like them. These will do. So typically, what we're about to see here is a Monday, but it's also kind of every day. So we start the day off, we start, upgrading our privileges because we use that just-in-time model. And then we start getting into our consoles. So Microsoft Defender, think Cylance, think all these security products, and we're going directly into the consoles to see, hey, what's waiting for us today? And this is what we find. And I really love this meme because you could translate this in so many ways. Once we kind of get settled in and we kind of get our minds right, we switch into this graphic up here, which is our 6-phase incident response lifecycle. This is a pretty common lifecycle, and I recommend that everyone just treat this as a framework. This isn't something that absolutely has to be done. And typically we'll go in a circle from prepare, identify, contain, eradicate, recover, lessons learned, and then back to prepare. However, there are times where you'll have to bounce back and forth between these phases. And we use this as a framework to help direct our investigations. So when we talk about the prepare phase, we're setting up all of our detections. We're using threat hunting, we're using threat intelligence. We're building out those good detections so that we know, is there something that's evil? Is there something that's a false positive? Are we able to prevent that thing automatically? We're also looking at part of the preparation phase as, are we getting the right logs? Do we have the right visibility? Do we have the right level of access to do the things that we're going to need to do? The next phase is identify. And a lot of people will think about this as, all right, we found evil, let's declare an incident. But I also submit to the group that it is not just declaring an incident, but part of the identification phase is to scope. If you have one compromised endpoint, we need to look at the blast radius there. What other endpoints could that compromised endpoint have talked to? Or a user? What could they have done from the initial point of access? And that is part of the identification phase. Typically, we'll then move into contain. Now, in a perfect world, in a perfect network, and in a perfect, patched organization, who here has that, by the way? I'm curious. Okay, good. I didn't think so. All right, I'm not alone. But let's say that it was a very robust network with security architecture in mind. One of the containment actions that we might consider would be to isolate a network segment. We discovered that, hey, the blast radius is within that network, contain all of it so that it can't touch anything else. And we can consider that kind of as the start of the cleanup or the triage. Then we move into our eradicate phase. Let's make sure that everything that we just triaged is cleaned up. If it was a compromised endpoint, let's return it to a system of known good. If it was a user, do we need to reset their credentials? Do they need a whole new set of credentials? How do we protect that user? And let's fix their accounts. Now, some of the times as you're in your containment and your eradication phase, you'll find new indicators of compromise. You'll find more users that were affected. Maybe you'll find more URLs that were clicked. I have actually a running joke right now, which was, what's the worst security slogan you can come up with? And mine was, and I'm pretty sure I won, was Carpe Diem, click the link. So no one submitted anything after that, so I'll just take that as a win. But we can really take this and with new findings, like I mentioned earlier, switch back into an identification phase. Let's rescope with new information, new intelligence, with what is relevant to our organization. Let's take another look at what we need to do to start triaging to really limit the blast radius and to prevent the spread of damage. And then with our recovery phase, we're finishing our cleanup. We want to restore business processes. We want to make sure the users are able to do their job successfully and in a safe manner. With lessons learned, personally, I feel like this is the most important part. After an incident has occurred, and I've had, listening to the talks today, just so many good examples of incidents, of ransomware, of secure configurations, vulnerabilities. When we talk about the lessons learned, we might call them post-mortem reports. If you're in the military, after action reports. But we outline here what went well, what went poor, what can we do to do better. In the center, I have decreased detection and response time. Now, for those of you in the incident response field, some of us might say that the primary goal of incident response is to identify the evil, contain it, and return the business back to a safe state so that it can thrive, make profits, do whatever it is that its purpose is in doing. I think it's more important that we focus on decreasing detection and response time. I like to operate under assumed compromise. I think that there's evil regardless of whether or not we have an alert. I think we need to utilize threat hunting to move ourselves from automatically detected IOCs like hashes, IPs, URLs. Let's get into tools. Let's get into tactics. What kind of processes are they doing in sequence that could be evil? A lot of the adversaries I've seen use binaries that exist on a system, like cert util, PowerShell, command prompt. That being said, my focus on decreasing detection and response time is because of this. There's only 10 types of people in this world. Those who have been hacked and those who will be hacked again. The best thing that we can do is decrease that detection and response time. Let's get that time down as low as we can. Prevention will fail. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Unless, of course, you take your computer, smash it with a hammer, bury it 6 feet under the ground, along with the rest of your network, and call it good. I think some of us would all like that. Does anyone here keep a gun next to their printer so that, like, if it makes a funny sound, they can shoot it in the face? I see hands. Okay, cool. Me too. C4, extreme, and I like it. The other things that I do on a daily basis are purple team activities. This is kind of a little bit nerdy, so I'm not sure if everyone here will get the reference. It's from a movie. But long story short, we have this character who's about to eat the buffet, and we got all these scared characters on the right. So in our purple team and the organization, the red team's like, all right, we got authorization, we got our rules of engagement, let's go. And us on the blue team are like, all right, let's hope the tools work. Let's hope the detections work. And I would say that a lot of times the tools don't work. But that goes back to our preparation phase, right? Do we have the right logs? And if the detection, the automatic alerts aren't working, do we have the capability to manually hunt and investigate ourselves? And not only that, but as part of the preparation, as part of purple team activities, a lot of people will think that, hey, we need to validate security controls. And that's true. I also think it's important that it's not just about validating security controls. It's about improving both teams. When the red team does something, and let's say blue team does not catch it, there should be a collaboration where it says, hey, I did this, here's how I did this. And then blue team can go back and validate, okay, here's how we could have found it. And it goes both ways. If red team gets caught, blue team, go talk to them, here's how we found you. You cleared the logs, it generated event 1102. And that's how I knew you were covering your tracks. And because you did that, I scoped backwards 5 minutes to see what else you did. And then I scoped forward 5 minutes to see what other log sources I could look at to find out what you were doing. And I think that it's so important to have that communication for continuous improvement. So that was kind of a blast through the first 2 parts of my talk. And kind of the next piece that I want to talk about, which is really important to me, and this is where I really want to spend some time with. I wanted to think about, during this talk, what is something that I could provide to all of you? I know that there are a lot of different levels of seniority in here. I know that there's a lot of different fields in here. I wanted to figure out what I could provide to you that would be of immediate value. After listening to my talk, after me showing you the things, what could you go home and do immediately? I settled on 6 things. 3 of them are some technical tools and resources. And granted, they're a little bit geared towards blue team, but I think that red team can use it as well. Here's what we're looking for. If you don't want to get caught, try to avoid doing these things. And then 3 of them are interpersonal. I can't tell you how important it's been over the past several years for me to understand that talking with people, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental and physical health has been so incredibly important. And I want to share some of the lessons I've learned as well. I like to also preface this section with, if I say something that you guys like, use it. And if you don't like it, just discard it. Fair enough? Fair enough. The first piece, this is the RE&CT framework. It's based on MITRE ATT&CK. It's not the same MITRE organization. They're called Atomic Threat Coverage. And on this website, if you just Google RE&CT framework, it lists the 6 phases of incident response, and it has lists of all the steps that you could do as an incident responder to do these things. And this is a screenshot of it, right? If you visit their website, you'll see in the preparation phase, it's like 3 times as long as every other phase. And some of those things are take training, get access, get logs. And it's just so incredibly important. I have a friend who actually showed this to me recently within the last several months. And when I saw it, I was like, yo, I literally spent the last 3 years studying this kind of stuff. And now you're telling me there's a website that I can just go to and it tells me how to do my job? Okay, cool. So I hope that by sharing this with you, not just incident responders, but maybe managers, maybe team leaders, you can take this tool and say, hey, where are we today? Out of all these things for incident response, what's included in our incident response plan? What are we actively doing? What could we be doing? It's not pictured up here, but Atomic Threat Coverage also has a tool for called RE&CT Navigator. It does just about the same thing as Attack Navigator, which allows you to put an overlay on and say, all right, we did this thing, turn it green. We do this thing, turn it green. We do this thing, turn it green. You can generate a score. You can make a heat map, just a really good visualization of where you are as far as your incident response maturity levels go. Moving on, this is also another resource that I wish that I knew about several years ago. What this picture is a website called Uncoder.io. And what this translates what's called Sigma rules into other tool languages. Sigma itself is an open format. It's a generic language. It's based on YAML. And what this will do is it will define exactly what will happen in an event log. It'll tell you what processes that you should be looking for. And it'll give you the logic, and if not, and or not. So the example that I have up here is scheduled task creation. And we can see that the product is going to be Windows. The service, which in here is going to be our log source, is sysmon. Who here has sysmon deployed in their environment? Ooh, limited number of hands. Ooh. Well, I hope it's just for lack of not raising hands. If you don't have sysmon, please deploy the sysmon for the logs. Look at the logs, the 3 things of logging. And then on the right side here, I just use an example to translate this into the Splunk query language, or SPL. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Sigma rules, and they're all free. They're all open source. You can literally just Google Sigma HQ rules, and it'll pop you right into their GitHub. And it's labeled, it's mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So if you know, for example, that scheduled task creation is technique 1053, you could just search T1053, or you just search for scheduled task, and it'll pop it up. I put this picture of Uncoder versus the picture of the GitHub because I thought this was a lot cooler. And Velociraptor. Okay, I could talk about this tool for hours. It is absolutely fantastical. It's free, it's open source. I think they were just acquired by Rapid7, and the community is great. There is a Discord channel if you want to interact with them. The developers will talk to you. The community develops their own plugins, or they're called hunts and artifacts. And with Velociraptor, you can do many things that are similar to tools you might know of, such as Fidelis, FireEye Enterprise Security. You can do things like get a shell on the target system if you need to interact with it, and you don't have to change your language syntax. If you know PowerShell, it uses PowerShell. If you know Linux, it uses Bash. You don't have to learn anything new, like custom query language, or you don't have to learn whatever Microsoft Defender's live response syntax is. I don't know what it's called, but it's not PowerShell or command prompt. So you can take your existing knowledge and just apply it right away. What's cool here is that the Velociraptor is very scalable. And with a small server, you can manage up to thousands of endpoints. And so as an example here, everything in Velociraptor is considered an artifact. We run hunts, and this specific hunt that I have up here, keeping with the scheduled task example, is for finding scheduled tasks. So basically what I did on my victim system was that I ran some scheduled tasks with Atomic Red Team, and then I ran this hunt. And as you can see here where I highlighted, you can see the actual syntax, the command start. You have your IEX, which is invoke expression, and it'll scale across all of your endpoints. I could talk for a long time about Velociraptor, and if you guys want to get with me after this and I can do a demo for you, I can do it in like 3 minutes. It's great. We also have the ability to create offline collection packages with Cape, and you can just bundle up into executable, hand it to an admin, and be like, hey, give me the output. Very easy. So I want to go into some of the 3 personal skills, interpersonal skills. What I found was when you're looking to make a change, when you're looking to improve your skills to the next level, when you're looking to learn something new, it's not easy. And I want people to know that it's okay to make mistakes. Don't be paralyzed by the fear of failing. Let's fail, learn from the mistakes, and let's try again. Let's try even harder next time. Something that worked for me was listening to motivational videos. My favorites are from Les Brown, It's Possible, and You Gotta Be Hungry. The second piece here is get away from the monitor if you have multiple ones. Some people have 3 monitors. It's me, guys, I'm people. I have 3 monitors and a TV and more monitors in another room. So many monitors. I believe that computer people can get easily engrossed in all of the things. Sometimes we just sit down, we just start working. 4 hours, 5 hours in, we haven't ate. My recommendation is just get away from the monitors, go for a walk, do some yoga. I'm a big fan of weightlifting. Just do something, get some fresh air. And I love this slide here because these are my 2 dependents. Yeah, these are my 2 dependents here. And yeah, so sometimes if I'm having just a real rough day, just can't figure out investigation, I just take these 2 and we go for a walk. And sometimes that gets the blood flowing and we come back and we're fresh and let's start over again. Let's get at it, pitter patter, you know what I'm saying? The third thing is radical candor. This is coined by Kim Scott. She developed this. And this is a compass that we can use to develop some of the best relationships that we've had. This we use as a compass to talk to other people. And what we can do here is this graph, we like 2x2 graphs. Going up is care personally on the vertical axis, and the horizontal is challenge directly. If we can find a way to care personally about people and be as direct as we can to ensure that our target audience is receiving the message properly, we will initiate just such profound growth within each other. If you see here that on the absolute opposite spectrum of this is mistrust, this is typically where you'll find a toxic work environment. Several years ago, I didn't have this. And I was in a work environment where I didn't know what I was experiencing. It was a toxic work environment. And if I had known about this, I would have exited even quicker than I did. And I'll never go back to that place, ever, ever. No, well, I tell you what, guys, I could be bi, but you know, but like a mythical amount of money, right? Like $1 billion. Like I could do that for a year. But I bring this up because if we can talk and interact with each other and be radically candid, I think the world would be an incredibly better place. This is just a summary slide. If you guys want to take a picture of it, Google the things later, cool. And if not, just reach out to me. More than happy to share anything that's up here and more with you guys. I tell you what, it was incredibly difficult to narrow down very few things that I wanted to talk about. There's so much stuff in here that I'm like, I could show them this, and this, and this, and this is cool, and I do this, but this is what I want to leave with you guys today. And finally, I want to talk about resiliency. When it comes to cybersecurity, whether you're red team, blue team, threat intelligence, whatever it is, even if you're not cybersecurity, if any field that you're in, it's going to be difficult. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. But if you can fall down, try to land on your back so that when you fall down, you're looking up and you can get back up. This is one of my favorite quotes here, is that when you're starting to feel down about yourself, when you're starting to feel like you're not good enough, when that imposter syndrome is kicking in so hard, like it is for me today, listening to all of the incredibly smart people here talk, just keep the faith in yourself. Number one, your time is coming. And then number two, there is greatness within you. And I want to leave you with this thought for everyone of every single level in here, that when it's starting to look bad, just keep the faith. It's going to be okay, and you're going to do great things. Guys, that is the end of my talk. I hope that you found something valuable here.